Hi, everybody, and thank you very much for joining us. It's late on a Wednesday afternoon, nearly 5 p.m., as I just wanted to see if we can try and decode a lot of what's been going on today. And welcome to people on the live chat. Please contribute. We are talking about the situation with the Parliament, the election of a new Prime Minister. I'll turn that off. The election of a new Prime Minister and the letter that has gone to the palace, which would be seeking dissolution of Parliament. Now, there's a lot of instant constitutional lawyers out there making comments, not only on my channel, but in the Thai media. Now, I'm not a constitutional lawyer. I suppose I've got a working understanding of the way the Thai Parliament works, and I've tried to apply that as best I can during the day. And I'll do that again now as we try and figure out exactly what's going on. Now, this will all be about Thai politics. So, as usual, I'm warning, if you're not interested in Thai politics, a good time to turn off. So, the situation today, earlier at 8 o'clock in the morning, the People's Party had a media conference announcing that they were going to be forming a pact with Anatin Charvirakun and the Pumjai Thai Party to vote for a, uh, a new prime minister. Now, the situation is they've also said that they don't want to be in the coalition and they would remain on the opposition benches. So they'd be part of the coalition, but also in opposition at the same time. This is obviously somewhat of a constitutional crisis if that were to happen. I suppose they could say, well, we're going to vote for the prime minister, but then we're going to step back and remain in opposition, and the Pumjai Thai can pull together a coalition of people there in the parliament. Now, assuming the Pheu Thai would not be involved in that coalition, then it would be a minority government. And that would be, to say the least, very unstable because any legislation they put up, the opposition would have the numbers to vote anything down. Now, the second thing that happened today is that the acting prime minister uh, declared that yesterday he'd sent a letter to His Majesty, the head of state of Thailand, requesting a dissolution of parliament. So, do what goes first, the election of a new prime minister or the dissolution of parliament? Once you've got a election of a new prime minister and a new prime minister is elected, assumedly that would probably be Anatin Charvirakun, then the letter then doesn't really have any validity. So it's a very interesting situation. We've also got some people today. This is just from Cowsod English. A senator this afternoon has posted a message on Facebook asking whether the People's Party approved the filing of lèse majesté complaint against Phumtham Wechayachai, that's the acting prime minister, for seeking a royal endorsement for House dissolution, saying it would basically drag the head of state into a political situation. Now, just sort of doing a bit more decoding today, and trying to read bits of the Thai constitution, uh, it is quite clear from what I can read that an acting prime minister does not have authority to call for a dissolution of parliament. Now, the only person that can dissolve parliament is, in fact, His Majesty the King. But according to what I can read, the only person who's able to request a dissolution of parliament is the actual prime minister, not an acting prime minister working in a caretaker role. So Paetongtarn Shinawatra, before she was dismissed last week, she could have called for a dissolution, for example. But this acting prime minister, Phumtham Wechayachai, does not, according to what I read, have the authority to call for a dissolution. So we actually have, as of the end of Wednesday today, a very, very vexed situation. And I'm very happy for people to throw their oar in the water with any thoughts. The People's Party, I suppose, for their part, have put themselves in a very difficult situation. What they've done is they've backed one side of politics. They've basically backed the people, not only per Thai, but also a Pumjai Thai, who have done nothing but throw bricks at them for the past 2 years and prevented them from getting into power. And a lot of their supporters, even in open letters today, have voiced their disgust about the fact that the People's Party are throwing their weight behind one side or the other. How is that going to present when we eventually, and it will be eventually, get to an election? Now, it appears to me that what has to happen next is that the Parliament has to call a session and test the validity of both Anutin Charnvirakul as the next Prime Minister and his selected coalition partners, test that on the floor of Parliament. And if that gets ascension and endorsed by His Majesty the King, well, then that game is over. Anutin Charnvirakul becomes Thailand's next Prime Minister. But we also know that there are a lot of caveats that were put on the support from People's Party to endorse and give that 143 votes from the People's Party. It's all very confusing, isn't it? Well, it is in a way, but also it's quite clear when you do sort of sit down and work out what's going on. It seems to me, as I said, that the Parliament is going to have to sit. The other possibility would be that the head of state accepts the letter from the acting Prime Minister in good faith and then declares that the Parliament needs to sit and test the other numbers in the Parliament. And that would be a sort of a face-saving situation. But I'm just riffing. I'm really just trying to work this out because I've always seen myself as a sort of a decoder. But don't take what I'm saying as is going to happen. I'm just trying to, I suppose, put out the steps and the options that are available as I understand them. But it's a very, very unclear situation. And now we've got these senators from both sides of the political spectrum threatening to, well, lay less majestate charges against the acting Prime Minister, and on we go. So it's turning from what could have been quite a simple situation, which would be covered under the Constitution with the election of a new Prime Minister, into something that is becoming far more confusing. And exactly who is going to vote? Well, all these different parties have been standing behind Anutin today, saying that they're going to also give their support to this minority government. But that could change overnight. People have been opting in and opting out, and I've been reading 6 or 7 news sources today, and it's not particularly clear exactly what's going to happen. So that's sort of where I see it at the moment, and I hope that makes some sort of sense. Uh, but it does appear to me that the next thing that has to happen is that the Parliament would have to sit and test the numbers and test the authority of this new government to take over from the caretaker government, form a cabinet, and then either run for 4 months, as has been insisted by the People's Party, before calling an election, or let the whole time run out till the end of next year, which would be March 2025, 26, March 27 is when the next election would have to be called by. But the Prime Minister would have the option to, once he is elected to the position of Prime Minister, can choose to dissolve the Parliament tomorrow. Or, in theory, he can run out the clock all the way until March 2027. Oh my God. All right, let's see what people are sort of saying here. Going to set up a bar in Pattaya and call it Planet John, says John Zena. Great. Good for you. I just have to say good evening with all the other Johns here. Yes, there are a few Johns. I see what you're saying. Frank, Thai friends talk me that the People's Party choose for Pumjai Thai so that the Per Thai go for dissolution from the parliament. Well, that's sort of what's happened. But do Per Thai and the acting prime minister, with the caretaker government, the caretaker cabinet, do they have the authority to request a dissolution of parliament from the palace? Well, from what I've been reading today, it doesn't appear that the acting prime minister has that authority, only the prime minister. So, yeah, you'd have to just imagine what it's like being the head of state today, opening your emails or however that message arrives, perhaps in a formal letter, and reading it and going, "Oh my God, I've got to sort this out." It's going to be a very, very difficult situation, and perhaps Pumtan Wicharachai, the acting prime minister, may be putting the head of state in a very, very difficult position, and putting him in a political position. And the head of state in Thailand is meant to be a completely non-political role, as has been made clear many times. So yeah, it looks like there is a lot of politics being played, not in a sort of a clear way, and perhaps the People's Party, used to be the Move Forward Party, used to be the Future Forward Party, have put Per Thai in this position where they've been forced to try and call the bluff of Pumjai Thai. Oh my goodness, to imagine what the phone calls are like at the moment. Good evening, or Monday here in London. This is from Roberto Saponi. So, yeah, here we are. It's just been raining for the last hour or so here in PHANG, and I've been sitting just sort of combing through hundreds of stories, trying to get an idea of exactly what's going on. And there are so many arms to this octopus, it's almost impossible to try and make a concerted call. And I don't imagine it's any easier for the people in the middle of it. One person might go, "Oh, I got a great idea. Why don't we do this and do that?" So it's sort of political shenanigans at 20 paces, making it very difficult to try and call what's going to happen next. Suffice to say that Parliament hasn't sat today, but I imagine that there is a certain amount of pressure from the head of the Parliament, the head of the House, to what do they call him, the head speaker, to call a session of Parliament. I mean, it would be better, I think, in everybody's situation to have the Parliament constitutionally vote on this and work it out with the elected MPs. That's the way it's sort of meant to work. And by calling on this dissolution, it has really thrown a sort of a spanner in the works. Let's go to some more comments from the people, and great to have you all with us. As I say, this is really just about politics. It's about trying to decode what's been going on over the past, well, since 8 o'clock this morning. It was 8 o'clock this morning when the People's Party announced that they were going to back the nomination of Aniton Charnvirakul, who's had a lot of ambition to become the Prime Minister for many years, all the way back to 2019, and his Pumjai Thai party. But they've also said that they don't want to be part of the coalition, and they would remain sitting on the backbenches, on the opposition benches, which means that Per Thai would also be on the opposition benches, and that leaves Pumjai Thai and that sort of rump of conservative parties without the numbers to actually form a government. So they'd be operating in a minority government situation, which, as I mentioned earlier, would be a very difficult situation, very difficult to get any legislation through Parliament. Malcolm Hawkins says, "G'day, Tim. I hope these politicians start thinking of the country instead of themselves." Well, I mean, that's a fair comment. But what indeed do you do? You've got 492 MPs, and you've got 7 or 8 main parties, 3 or 4 major parties, some very big egos, some of them with a lot of money, Somewhere lurking in the shadows, you've got Thaksin Shinawatra. And in the other shadows for the People's Party, you've got Thanatorn, who's sort of the father of the People's Party. He was the prime ministerial candidate for the Future Forward Party, the Orange Party, you remember, all the way back to 2019. He even stood in front of Parliament as a prime ministerial candidate. But Mr. Prayut Chan-o-cha was selected by, or General Prayut Chan-o-cha was selected instead of him. So he's sort of lurking in the shadows for the People's Party and would in many ways have engineered this decision by them to support Pumjai Thai and Anatin Shah Vitakun. So Malcolm, yeah, it's sort of difficult for the politicians, even with in the best good faith, to try and do something for the people. Where at the moment, just trying to get a government formed and a prime minister elected is just proving very, very difficult. I mean, the levers of power are something that a lot of people want. And nobody wants to be sitting in the opposition side. They want to be sitting on the government side. So this horse trading looks like it's going to continue. And there's things just coming out of one side or the other, out of left field, and making the situation increasingly confused. Practice says the baht will fluctuate. Well, we call it sort of the Teflon Thai baht, don't we? Because no matter what seems to happen in Parliament or with tsunamis or other acts of God or problems with tourism or even a war on the borders between Thailand and Cambodia, the tourists keep on coming and the baht seems to live through all these catastrophes and continue on. Really, over the last year, the baht has been very stable against a lot of other currencies. Yes, there has been some movement, particularly I know for the Australians over the last couple of years. The baht's fallen a long way. The Australian dollar has fallen against the baht, but a lot of other currencies, it's a different situation, and the baht seems to remain reasonably strong and doesn't seem to fluctuate much as these situations, these challenges emerge. I love Thailand politics. Lots of twists and turns, snakes and rats, says Preston. What else have we got? Sweaty Cup from Melbourne from John D. And yeah, I think we've sort of covered what we needed to cover. Just the fact that even though these events have happened today, we're still in a state of flux. And it seems to me that the next thing that has to happen is the House Speaker is going to have to call Parliament and say, all right, we need to sit down and put our hands up and vote for a new Prime Minister. And that would be therefore forming some sort of new coalition and determining who's going to be on the government benches and who's going to be on the opposition benches. But the situation will continue into the evening, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of stories. But if it seems all a bit unclear and confusing, that's because it is. But thank you very much, everybody, for joining in this quick update on what's going on. And I look forward to trying to clarify more tomorrow if I can. And let's hope that perhaps tomorrow there might be some sitting of Parliament and the situation may become resolved. Do you have an exit plan if ever the shit hits the fan in Thailand? Asks Ricky. Well, yeah, I've always got in the back of my mind that I'm living here in Thailand as an alien. I'm a foreigner living in a foreign country. My passport gives me the ability to apply for a visa. I've currently got a visa. I've had different visas over the last 14 years. But I actually do have a bag sitting next to the door, which has got a copy of my documents. It's got about 20,000 baht in there. And it's not so much for some sort of political reason having to leave the country, but if there was an approaching tsunami, obviously I'd grab number one, the four animals, jump in the car, and we'd just drive like hell. But that's an extremely unlikely and remote circumstance. But if for some reason the Thai government turned around tomorrow and said, okay, all foreigners, you've got 24 hours to leave the country, Well, I suppose I'm in a situation where if I had to, I could do that if there was a plane for me to catch. But I also think that is extremely remote and unlikely for all the catastrophes that have happened in Thailand, all the coups, the 1997 financial crisis. Thailand's never turned around and started pointing at the foreigners and blaming them for their problems. So I don't think there's going to be any situation where the some three or 400,000 foreigners who live in Thailand, let alone all the tourists, are going to be asked to leave the country. But yeah, I mean, if I had to leave tomorrow, I could. I would really hate having to do so. This is my home now. I love living in Thailand. I love this community that I live in, mostly. But I would be very sad if I had to leave. And putting together a new life in another country or Australia would be, at the age of 66, extremely difficult. Never a dull moment in Thai politics, says Grant. Professionals have standards. Cheers, says Mana Seeker. Not really sure what you're referring to there. I'm really honoured that people from abroad care about Thailand's political situation, says August. Well, as I say to people, as far as I'm concerned, if you live here and you work here and you pay taxes and you love Thailand and you love Thai people, then you sort of have to have at least a basic understanding of what's happening with Thai politics so that you can act accordingly. And if the Thai people are sad because of something that's happened politically, then at least you can have a basic understanding of what may be bringing them their grief at the time. Um, don't worry, it's not difficult in Australia at 66. It's just difficult in general, says David S. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine what in earth I would do back in Australia at my age. I've got only three or four members of my family there these days. They certainly wouldn't want me living with them. Uh, with all the stuff that I've accumulated, especially with six beach houses, I'm not sure whether it would all fit in the spare bedroom. Um, but look, I do think it's extremely remote that I'm going to have to vacate this particular town. Uh, I can't really think of any circumstance that is even remotely likely that would cause me to leave. So I suppose that's my best answer. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best is my motto, says Ricky. Your exit plan is great advice. Yeah, I always say to people, if you're living in a place that's not yours, always have some sort of bag with copies of all your main documents, including your passport. Your passport should also be in that bag, and put some baht in there if you've got the opportunity, maybe even some US dollars if you're thinking of heading to maybe Cambodia or Myanmar, being the two nearest neighbors, because they love US dollars in those countries. Well, they used to last time I was there anyway. But yeah, I mean, if you're living in a foreign country, it's always incumbent on you to act responsibly and be prepared to leave if you have to, no matter how remote that situation could be. And risk management is a lifesaver, says Manasika. Okay, so there you go. Let's leave it at that, and we'll keep on reading tonight, and I'll keep doing my best to decode this rather fractious situation. I'm not a Thai citizen. I can only imagine that there would be a lot of very concerned Thai people at this farrago happening in the Thai parliament and across Thai politics at the moment. And they'd, of course, all be discussing it in quiet over a pad Thai. So there you go. So what's the latest news? Asks Wazao. Reverse back to the start, and you'll see what the latest news is. The Wu-Tang Life, can the Thai government make it illegal to have dual pricing? Another problem on another day. I think there was some talk about it 3 or 4 months ago to get rid of dual pricing. But I think in a country where the spending power of foreigners is just so different from the spending power of Thais who are on, say, the minimum wage, that getting rid of dual pricing is extremely unlikely, in my opinion. I don't really have a strong opinion about dual pricing. I know a lot of people do. I understand the arguments on both sides, but I don't think the Thai Parliament has anything sitting in front of them that would encourage them to get rid of dual pricing at the moment. I think they've got a few other things to be worried about, to be honest. But thanks for the question, Wu-Tang Life. Take care, everybody. I'm going to see if I can find a nice dinner when the rain stops. But we certainly had some solid rain for the past hour here on the coast of PHANG. Have a great Wednesday night, and I'm pretty sure we're going to be talking tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.